Hello everyone, my name is Shami Anand and today we're going to be building a CLI application called RTT Repo to Text in Python using something very amazing, using typer and all that stuff, and that's going to be so amazing that you don't even know what's going to be coming for you guys in store here. I already have made a Go version for it. It's already live on GitHub. It's usable. You'll have to only export. It has a perfect README. You can go through it and start contributing if you will please it. Okay, let's get started. So first let me open up typer docs. Because I'm new to typer, so I need to be reading docs while I code, but I hope this is going to be amazing, right? So it says this. Okay. So I think I'm getting an idea. We'll be using PDM to initialize this project. First, let's create a project. Right? Let's go into this project. Let's do PDM init. We'll go with Python 3.12. Name is fine. Version is fine. Now we don't need to. Everything else seems fine. Created the app. Let's just activate the virtual environment and let's dig in. Cool. So now what we need to do is we need to do a few things. First, we need to add typer as a dependency. That is done. Now typer is added. We don't need tests for now. Let's go here and we'll call it CLI.py file. We'll import, let's say, typer. Okay. Now we'll create a def. That seems good. But this code should be in the main file actually. So let's put it in the main file. So main file would be here. Sorry, not here, but instead at the root level. So let's get this main file, paste it here. And we'll create a CLI which is not going to return anything, and for now it'll just be unimplemented so that this is fine, and we'll just say like this is going to be how it works. Okay, now as we mentioned here, let's just split it into two screens so that you can see it more clearly. I need the hand mode here. So instead of we're going to be doing some improvements to this new flow, because in the old RTT implementation that I did with Golang, we didn't have a concept of differentiating between directories and URLs. So in this one, what we'll do is we'll consider directories and URLs as entities, and it could be any of it, and we can write a small regex to identify whether the string that is passed to us is more likely going to be a directory or is more likely going to be a URL, right? So we'll call this an entity which is needed, which is going to be a string, right? And let's going to just say print hello entity, right? And app equals to typer. What does that do? And we'll give it a name. Name is going to be RTT. Help is going to be RTT CLI for managing interacting with. Help is going to be the same thing as interaction with LLMs, all built in. Okay. Now, what is this? Okay, wow. So instead of a command, what we want here, let's not jump the guns using Copilot. Instead, what we'll do is what the demo demonstrated us. So in the demo, we can clearly see, right, that you can run typer run main. You can run typer run main here, and whatever the arguments that main takes is going to be arguments of your CLI application, and flags are just going to be arguments with a default value, so that when you invoke a flag, that is going to set this particular argument as a non-default value. So let's say we have this, and instead of doing all of this stuff, we can just say if name equals to main, we'll just do not this, we'll do typer.run, and we'll say we'll run CLI. Okay, and best way to run it would be python -m rttpy, sorry, source.rttpy dot wait a second, this thing is not going to be written here, bro. Same thing is not going to be written here. Instead, what main is going to do is it's going to have CLI. No. So this we're just going to put it here, and then we're just going to run it. We'll run type run main, right? And we're just going to run CLI, and we will import CLI. Sorry, we will import typer. So this seems correct. So we'll say source. Let's say python -m source/main. No module named RTT CLI. Is it because this is not a package? I don't think I should be doing this, but just for debugging purposes. Okay. What if I just add it here? Yeah. And let's call it, instead of main, let's call it runner. Cool. And what runner is going to do is it's going to import from CLI, and then it's going to run the CLI. Let's see this works. Now it's going to be rttpy. Cool. Missing argument entity. Now if we just do help, cool, entity is a required argument. I'll split it. Now let's say we'll say reading entity, and cool. Let's say we pass it an entity, so we'll pass it the dot, reading dot. Okay, or we can just pass it ssi.inc, which is going to be reading ssi.inc. This is fine. What we'd also need is entity type, which is going to be a literal. Okay, and it's can only be a dir or a URL. Okay, it's going to be this only, and by default it is going to be a dir. Cool. So I'm assuming this should work as a flag now. I'm assuming this should work as a flag. Let's just see if this works as a flag. Type not supported, typing.literal. Why does it say that? It's a very big error though. So for now, let's just say it's a string. Cool. Let's remove any imports, and by default it's going to be. Yep. So now it has a flag called type. Let's just call it type. Cool. Default is dir. You see, if I add a doc string to this, will it be added? It's going to be CLI for reading, a repo URL text for easy interactions with LLM. No, will not name it this. So this is an entry point. Yes. Okay. For not type. You know what? Let's have a logging service also. So this is going to have like a bunch of utils. It's going to have init .py. It's going to have a logger.py, and for logger, let's just use pdm and struct log. Okay, so we'll just say import struct log. I'll have to restart my LSP. Okay. And let's just view some documentation. Lala. Okay. Yeah, this seems like a good start. This seems like a good start. What does it do? Okay, let's see how it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import from utils import logger import log. Okay, so we're just going to say log reading for CLI, and I'll say thanks for using identity. Let's run this now. I'll pass in something. I'll pass in // something. So it says CLI entity something type dir. Thanks for using entity. Cool. Now we have beautiful logs with us, which are structured, which can be just changed into JSON logs, and you push it into a deployed container, so that maintaining logs would be much easier. yeah. Now what we would be willing to as next step would be mm, to based on the type we should do a validation, right? There should be validation whether or not the type that is passed to us and the actual entity that is passed to us are equivalent, meaning you should not be passing me a website URL and saying that it's a directory. In that way I would not be able to pass that information correctly. So to help remedy that, let's for now let's just dump everything here. Def not like that, we'll make it a protected function for this module, and we'll call it compare type with entity, and it's going to take entity type and it's going to return bool, right? And we'll say what does this method do is this method checks if the entity value and the type are equivalent. So returns true if entity is a POSIX compliant path and type is DRL. Return false otherwise. So this is the behavior of the method, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, ChatGPT is amazing. So if it says if type is a directory, then we'll say return starts with itna, or starts with itna, right? If it's a URL, it should start with HTTP or HTTPS, otherwise unknown type. Okay. So before even starting, we'll say let's rename it something else. We'll say ensure types match. We'll say it like this. So we'll say if not now we go ahead and invoke the service, no? So I can just do that, right? So let's just say I call this with hyphen type URL, and I pass in ssi.inc. Will it give me an error, right? It does not match the type URL, but if I do https ssi.inc, it is going to match and it's going to let me run it. Now same thing I can do it. I can say type is dir. I can say type is a directory, and I can pass in a directory, right? So let's just pass in home/shami, right? Or home/shami/downloads, and both works. But if I what if I say it's directory and pass something like https ssi.inc, and it's again going to give me a value error, which is an expected behavior. So this is what we are doing as of now. Ideally this should be coming from a util method as well. We'll just call it we'll keep refactoring as we proceed, so let's call it this. And in the init method, let's just add all the things will be importing from the URL package. So it's definitely going to be log, and it's going to be ensure types match, log and ensure types match. But before we do that, we'll have to import these things. So from.logger import log from.util import ensure types match. Okay, I named it util, right? Perfect. So now what I need to do going forward is I'm just going to say from utils we'll just import log and ensure type match, and instead of doing which seems much cleaner now. Obviously, this is, by the time the video ends, we're going to refactor this into a very good production ready CLI implementation, and everybody's going to be happier for it. Let's just keep it on the side. That's our runner on the right, so we'll keep it at the end of the screen. Now next step is we want to convert the provided directory to a flat file. So there we need, what do we need now? Our services, right? So you have your CLI, you have your runner. In my honest opinion, the runner and the CLI should be combined. That's what I think. So that's what I'm just going to do, is I'm just going to combine them and delete the runner file, because I think the idea is going to be that you don't need a runner. So let's say we'll have a CLI RTT, we'll have, let's say, let's not even call it CLI, let's call it main.py, right? Because this is a runner file. So we'll call it main.py, and this is not needed anymore. We'll just close that, and you have the main.py file. Now the idea is that this package, we don't need the caches right now, so let's just delete the cache so that the object looks cleaner. So the idea is that this is going to have like services, right? And services is going to be a package, because there's going to be multiple services in it. So it's going to be a package. So first server is going to be a walker. So a walker this is going to be a file utility that will allow you to walk a directory and bin all the files inside the directory by skipping obviously git ignored files, and anything that is a hidden file will ignore that. Only files that matters will be considered into that file, the buffer that we'll be building from walking the OS. This will walks the directory and stores all the file contents into a single file. Okay, that's what it's going to do. So we're just going to make it a class. We'll say class, we'll call it the walker. Okay, and instead of doing this, we'll just say we'll pass is here, and let's see what Copilot gives us. So we have an initializer, it takes a path, does this. It also has a let's def validate path, which will just it's going to be a static method, because this is going to be used by keep things inside of it. It's going to take a path directly, and sometimes you see this is going to be, and if it's a valid path, it returns the string. It returns string or none, right? So in this case, otherwise it will return the path, which is perfect. So during initialization, we call this the walker dot validate path, and we'll pass in the path. So if this doesn't return none, it just returns a string or raises a path. Let's just add a default global import, so we don't have to import everywhere. Walk takes a file extension, which is by default going to be a markdown. Let's call it default ext. Okay. So see, ends with takes a suffix. Now suffix could either be a string or it could be a tuple. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make it a tuple. So I'm going to say if it ends with .pyc, sorry, put it in double quotes, .pyc or .exe or something. If file dot starts with dot, we'll just continue. We don't need to take those files into account. And if files dot end with pyc, exe, and any of that stuff, then also we'll continue, right? Then also we'll continue. Only when these conditions are not met, right? This is going to be inside the loop. But this is going to be the two guards, and if you don't need this, we'll just close this, right? So we'll join the root. Where is the root coming from? Root is the root file and the file path. We'll open it in the R mode. We'll file contents. Read files.append file. This is the name of the file. Okay. And let's not call it walk. We'll just call the worker dot cool beans. We'll say something like parse and store. We'll take convert. Okay. Now the idea is no, we don't need this. Now we already have the file and all that stuff. Now what we need to do is we need to write all the file contents to a single file with a default extension. At the same level as the directory. So seems right. We'll call it RTT and the default extension. So this is going to do the job, and I'm just going to return we'll also say that it returns done deal. Just don't have split window. So now we'll say if it is a directory, so if type equal to directory, we'll say let's try it. So we'll say types is dir and we'll pass in a path, but for passing a path I don't know what path I should pass, so let's see some small Rust target debug. We'll give some small example, otherwise it will hallucinate, bro. It's going to hallucinate. So you know what, let's take RTTPy as an example. Properties, we'll copy the path. Okay, and just paste it. Okay, we renamed it to main. See, it worked. It says output stored. Let's see what is the output that it stored. We invoked it at this path, at source, and then it read. So it read seems like it. Size is not that much. All I need to just do is that we don't need to this is fine. So this is going to work as expected. Perfect. Now what we need is we need a service में, let's call it is walker a nice word? Let's call it dir worker. No. Let's call it directory worker. Cool. We're going to change this. It doesn't look that good, but okay, the worker looks cool. So main.py is going to have issues. It's going to be now called the worker, and let's not import it, let's put it here. I don't like namespace bound imports. Okay, later on we're going to add the or let's just do it now itself. So from the worker report the worker, and we'll just say all is the worker. So now in the main.py file we don't have to do this. Instead we just say from services import the worker. Okay, this is now looking neat. Now, as next step, we need to allow parsing. So, I mean, it does not make sense for us to build an entire HTML parser on our own, because we have two options here. Generally, what people do in scenarios where, does it have a pointer? Just give you a pointer to show, like, okay, it has dark mode also. Cool, but doesn't have pointer. Anyways, so what we want to really do is, instead of relying on building something from scratch, what we're going to do is use some existing Python packages. So I'm just going to search Python package converting websites to Markdown. It has almost 1700 stars. So you just do what? It has to be simple enough, right? I don't like its API. Markdownify seems like the language of choice. Let's just use Markdownify then. Seems like it's the industry standard approach that we have, and we don't need any of that stuff. All we need is convert list tags to convert. No. So it seems like we'll have to take the URL, we'll have to check if the URL is valid, and then we'll have to fetch, we'll have to do a get request to that URL to get the HTML back, and then using that HTML we need to pass it down. Cool, makes sense. Let's just use this. So it's called Markdownify. So let's just add it. PD and add. Cool, it's added. So we'll go here in services, we'll get URL parser. Why? Okay, and this is what this is going to be is docstring first. So what this module is going to do is this module provides function to pass URL. No. This module will get the URL and fetch its HTML content. Then use Markdownify convert HTML content to this something like that. So we'll just say import Markdownify to restart. Cool. Now we'll also import requests, right? Let's implement a class. Let's see what is URL parser validate URL. Correct. It has to start with a valid URL. Returns valid URL. And the HTML and the Markdown. So it is maintaining that as its content. Cool. And we'll have a method called convert. What this method is going to do is it's going to fetch the URL, convert it to Markdown, returns the part of the file. It's going to be response going to be Markdownify, silver HTML, heading style ATX. Okay. Cool. So that's pretty much it, right? have to add requests also. So later on what we're going to do is all these service classes that we're building out, right, these package services, all this later on is going to inherit from base interface that will have the method called something as validate URL and convert or something like that. I don't know. Right now, let's just this seems like enough. We just have to add an import path for it. So, and we'll also add from direct URL parser, import URL parser, and we'll just say we also have URL parser as an import symbol now. And here we're going to say elif type into URL. No, we'll say URL parser equal to URL parser entity because we have URL parser now. Okay, and then we'll just say convert stored. In this case, what does convert do? It just returns, no, it returns with a markdown. No, bro. Convert will take a default ext. It's going to be a string. For now, it's just going to be dot markdown. Let's see if this works. So we'll say types is URL and we'll pass https ://ssi.inc and let's see what it does. Output stored. Where? Here. Super save intelligence INC. Yep. It's working. Cool. Now to the fun bits. I think we've we're moving quite fast here. We've already covered root and URL to convert the provided URL to a flat file. Now we want to implement this functionality. So what we need to implement is we want to implement a new query subcommand, right? So you want this new query subcommand. So entity is fine. So the way now it works is we'll have to provide an entity with a type, and you can also now provide query, which is going to be a boolean. It's going to be boolean. No, it's going to be a string, I guess. Yeah, and by default it's going to be none, and say it's none. So what does this mean, bro? So entity, this is at some comments also. query is the question you want to ask to LLM about the entry. Okay? That's what it is. Now this is a good start actually. We have built something very useful. Is it not git init anymore? Git status, bro. Git init, bro. I forgot to git init. Let's see. Git status. Git add all. I want to add it to my GitHub. Do I have the GitHub repo installed? Yeah, I have, right? So what can I just say? gh repo create and let's keep the same description that we had. Let's do this. Yeah, just keep it public. And a remote, yes. Origin, okay. Git add all git push. We need to do this. Cool. I need the same readme as the one that I have here. Only trouble is we'll have to we'll just commit. Say sure date readme. Okay. Let's look at our new repository. We have it. We have it, guys. We have it here. We have one branch, we have our readme, and we have the source code here. Cool. This is looking good, and I don't think we have spent too much time on this anyway. So let's just continue, right? Let's just continue to next step. Next step is going to be the Grok integration now, and there are a few more things that's pending. So I'm just going to add it in the notes.md file. It's going to be what day is today? Today is 10th of May 2025. So these are the things that we have accomplished. We have set up a hyper-based CLI for this project. Supports a required argument for the path to the input file or directory or a URL. these are pending items. Pending. And configurability for the output directory and the file extension and the output file length, everything. ठीक है? And Grok LLM support with options for configuring models. ठीक है? So you need to also add support for multiple input files, not necessarily in the same directory. And what we need to do. So I think this will already give you, and then obviously the deployment step. So GitHub Actions to build and deploy the project. Make it work. With PDM, UV, and PIP for distribution. Okay, these are some pending items. Once this is done, I think we're good to go. So I'll add this file in the sure update pending items and current progress. This is crazy, no? Yep, so first two steps are done and we already verified that it's done. Now we will be implementing the third step. So before we do that, what time is it already? I need to take some rest. So we'll be continuing this in the next part. I want to watch this video over YouTube to see like how it is and what we can do going forward and things like that. Obviously this was my first time, so I don't know if this is going to be very good output for the time that I put, but definitely in future, as I keep improving this conversational side of software development, where I'm not just leading people, telling them what to do and showing things by building it from scratch. So see, typo was something I wanted to learn because it's easy to build CLI applications using Python, because this just getting started is so easy. If you want to do it in Go is even easier, but you know, there's language complexity in Go that people think it's easy, but it's not really easy. If you try to do anything meaningful, it's definitely not easy. So with that, let's just call it part 1, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.